Homeowners insurance is a real pain point for us living here in Florida and for you guys thinking about buying here in Florida. The average cost is about $4,000 for a single family home, and it's about 3 times as high as the national average. About to get worse, probably much worse.
The worst case scenario happened. I can only imagine that our premiums are going to go up.
Yeah, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it, expect them to go up.
Do you have any idea how much you're expecting to go up? Is there any talk in your world?
I would say, we're hearing 50% increases, which is huge. I've seen 100% increases on some people coming in recently, and this is before the storm even hit. So we were already in trouble, and now that we had this catastrophic storm come through, we're in more trouble. You can expect to see carriers leaving the state again. We're going to have more and more carriers folding up after the storm. They have to see how much in damages, and that's all being assessed right now. So we don't have final figures. Estimated cost of damages is about $67 billion.
And so you must be working on a lot of claims right now.
A lot of claims coming in, a lot of roof damages, flooding everywhere, just all kinds of claims. Cars being washed away. You don't think, everybody always tends to think of their homes, but there's also boats and cars and things like that were also damaged during this storm that is also going to make car insurance go up. If you do have a claim, I recommend all my customers to call me first so we can review deductibles, because a lot of times your deductible might be more than what your actual claim is that you're putting in. I had people that maybe lost a few shingles off of their roof, but they had an $8,000 hurricane deductible. Well, it doesn't make sense to put in a claim then. Unfortunately, you're just going to have to pay for that out of pocket.
Do you feel that the insurance companies are doing a good job covering those that actually had coverage?
A lot of people complaining that their payouts aren't even going to cover the cost of putting a new roof on. And then we're having to go back and dispute the claims with the insurance carrier. I've seen some carriers just jump right in and immediately release funds. I'm seeing other carriers fighting to release any type of funds, even loss of use funds when people have completely lost their homes and they have nowhere to go and they need to get a hotel, having problems getting that money released. It just is kind of a little upsetting to me being an insurance agent because, here we help people get this coverage and we think we're helping them and it's going to help them in the time of need. And then at the time of need, when they go to put the claim in, the carrier's fighting with them. And a big one recently has been, this is a flood claim. This is not your homeowner's claim, and your homeowner's insurance will decline the claim if it is a flood claim. They do not have coverage for flood on there unless there's a special endorsement. Some carriers, homeowner carriers, do offer the endorsement now. I would say the majority of them don't, so you have to have that separate flood coverage. And there were people that it was a surge that took their home away and they did not have flood insurance. And unfortunately, that provides no coverage for them. They will have to go to federal assistance, government assistance, which is not going to be a lot.
How much do you expect it to be?
So I can only go off of what has happened previously. Some of the research I did on Hurricane Harvey in Texas, it just flooded that area so badly for days. A lot of the people did not have flood insurance there. They weren't in flood zones, so nobody carried it. And the average person who did have the flood insurance got a payout of about $100,000. The ones who did not, the government assistance equaled about $7,000. I tell everybody here in Florida, and I'm going to use myself as an example, I am not in a flood zone. We sit pretty high. I bought flood insurance last week. So I am going to have it. This storm was a huge awakening for myself and a lot of people around me. It doesn't have to necessarily be the surge that's going to come in and create the flood. It could be swelling of rivers and creeks and things like that. And we have a ton of rivers and creeks everywhere around here. So if any of that overflows, that can create flooding in your area. So it definitely does not need to be coming from the Gulf. It could just be 26 inches of rain drop on your city and start swelling the rivers. And we're seeing that with Orlando and everything from this hurricane. They got a lot of rain dumped on them and had a lot of flooding.
I'm just as scared as you are. And I'm thinking of getting flood insurance as well. Should I be thinking about getting it now to get better rates, or does it make more sense to wait maybe a few months prior to the next hurricane season in 2023?
I would recommend everyone to get it now. I mean, why wait? Because it could happen. It could just be one of our tropical storms that come through. It doesn't have to be a hurricane and it just dumps a bunch of water. That is the threat, is actually the water. Is not so much the wind. The rates don't really change. They are FEMA backed, so they kind of are standardized rates. If you go with the NFIP plan, which is the National Flood Insurance Program, those rates are set in stone per your zone. It's not going to change no matter which carrier you go to. That's an NFIP carrier. They're going to all be the same. Now, we do have private flood sectors that will quote, and they add a little more bells and whistles to the policies. They'll add maybe like a loss of use, pool refill, the dwelling A coverage. On the NFIP, the maximum they're going to give you is $250,000. And you're like, well, I have a $500,000 home. That's only going to cover half of it. So the private flood sectors will cover you up to that $500,000 and more. A lot of times their rates are better than what's coming in with the NFIP. With the NFIP, it's a pretty much standardized. The rate is going to be what it is. The max coverage you can get is $250,000 and $100,000 on contents. If you go private sector, that's when prices can change and you can kind of make it more of an a la carte plan. There is a 30-day wait period. If you take it out today, you have to wait 30 days for it to be effective. And also the policies are non-refundable. The only way that they refund on flood policies is if you are selling the home. That is the only time that they will give you a refund. So if you're just taking the policy out just during storm season, unfortunately, they are annual policies. Typical annual policy is costing about $590 for an X zone. So it's not extremely expensive to get it.
A lot of homeowners insurance companies are pulling out or have pulled out of Florida. There's more and more people that are actually insuring via Citizens.
It is the government insurance plan, and a lot of times their rates are better than what is coming in with the admitted carriers. They also are admitted. The government sponsors them. They do, on their liability side, they're a little bit low. They'll only offer a maximum of $100,000. Your standard carriers are offering $300,000. So they're a little bit lower on liability as opposed to the coverages, your dwelling coverage, your deductibles, that type of thing. Same type of coverage that you're getting on any other policy. Just their underwriting questions are a little more lenient. They do have stipulations, though. It doesn't mean that Citizens is just going to take everybody and anyone. I have seen them cancel policies, so it's not like they're just going to take a home that nobody is willing to insure. They make you get a 4-point inspection to get a policy with them. So they want to make sure your electrical, plumbing, air conditioning, water heater, all of that is up to par before they take the coverage. They will take people that maybe have older roofs, and then as long as you are able to prove that there's 2 years left of life on your roof, they'll accept it. If the 4-point inspection comes back and it says a year or no life left on the roof, they're going to decline it. So if you have that 20-year shingle roof, but it's still in excellent condition, Citizens is the route for you to go. And I'm hearing that they are financially stable. They think they are absolutely fine to cover the damages they need to cover.
What exactly is the difference between the coverage via flood insurance or homeowners insurance?
Your homeowners insurance is going to cover hurricane. If your roof is ripped off and let's say rain is just coming in from the ceiling down, that should be going on your homeowners insurance. If you have rising water coming up from the ground up to your home and it floods inside, so it has to be coming from the ground up into your home, that is going to be flood coverage. And that's when the homeowners start to decline. They're like, oh, it was coming from the street up into your house. That's a flood and needs to go on the flood insurance. Now, flood insurance is just going to do your dwelling and contents. They do not cover loss of use, things like that. If you need to go and stay somewhere else, there is no coverage for that type of thing. It's just a standard FEMA policy with contents and dwelling on it. If you want the bells and whistles, we need to go to the private sector to get all of that coverage for you, because your homeowners is not going to kick in the loss of use if it's flood coverage. Even though it's on your homeowners policy, they're going to say the peril is flood and it needs to go on flood coverage.
There's a lot of discussions going on between these different types of insurance companies in terms of who's responsible for what.
Yeah, and I've had some claims decline saying that it was flood and it actually wasn't flood. flood, so then you have to go back to the carrier. So there is a lot of back and forth arguments going on right now. There's a lot of people getting public adjusters, hiring attorneys.
Is there any suggestion you have for a homeowner in case there's another hurricane that comes our way, say sometime next year, and it's a bad one, and we have insurance? Is there anything we can do in terms of maybe taking pictures, just documenting what's happened to the house prior to the agents coming in to inspect?
I always tell people this, even not for a hurricane, it could be a fire or something that happens in your house and you lose everything. You want to go around and take pictures. Then it's on film, it's on camera. There's no stipulations to it. You have documentations of what you own and what you have in your house. If you forget to do that, let's say now, just to keep in your files, definitely do it right before a hurricane. Walk around, take pictures of your soffits and the outside of the house and the roof, and show how good it is, so when the storm does come through, they can't say, oh, that was already damaged prior to the storm, so we're not going to repair that. And you can show that it wasn't. I have heard some carriers not accepting the videos. They want actual just photos. When in doubt, just take pictures of every room and around the outside of your house as well. I also have been telling people after the storm hit, again, document.
Now do me a favor, if you found value in this video, like this video, it does help out the channel.